Alright, hey guys, today the topic of interest is how to destroy your negative thought patterns and how to create new, more empowering ones that will help you create the life that you want to live. Alright, so I'll be teaching you that in this video. But also guys, if you like my videos, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, also press the little bell down at the bottom. And also please follow me on social media because it makes me happy when you interact with me. So I'd appreciate that. So let's get started. So one thing I want you guys to understand is this. If you're experiencing negative emotions on a consistent basis, you have to understand that these negative emotions are coming from negative thought patterns that you're having on a consistent basis. And all these negative thought patterns arise from the ego. So when I say the ego, what do I mean by the ego? The ego is the unconscious and unobserved thoughts that you have, right? So it's the unconscious story that you tell yourself of who you are and how the world is, right? That's the ego. So it's anything that you identify with that gives you a false sense of self. Anything that you identify with that is outside of yourself, right? And a lot of the time we identify with our own experiences. And nothing wrong with that. The only issue is that sometimes we identify with the wrong thing, and when we identify with the wrong thing, it disempowers us from living the life that we want to live. And we're all playing roles at some level, right? We're all playing roles, but the thing is, a lot of the roles that some of us are playing are not empowering us, and they're not helping us, and they're hindering us from creating the life that we want to live. And one of the most common roles that we play out is the role of the victim. So let me give you a practical example so all this makes sense. So for example, let's say you're a guy and you ask a girl out, right, and then she rejects you. She says, no, I'm not interested or whatever. Rather than just experiencing the pain of the rejection and just seeing it as what it is, which is just an event. You see it as an event, right? We often try to run away from our emotions, and we try turn off our conscious awareness to avoid the pain. So, because we're often taught, it's bad to cry, you shouldn't feel your emotions, it's weak, kind of thing, right? So we run away and we become unconscious. And when we're unconscious, what you fail to realize is this is how your brain works. When it experiences pain of some kind, it looks for a cause of the pain because it doesn't like pain. So it's like, what caused this pain? What is the common denominator here that caused this? And if it can't find a clear cause to the pain, it can create one, and it creates a story. So this is why I say it's so important to observe your thoughts and be aware of your pain, because you're aware that all this is going on. So back to the example, you've been rejected. Brain tries to find a cause, it can't find a direct cause, so it creates a story. And one of the stories it can create is this. It can be something like this, girls don't really care about men anymore. They're just out for a free lunch. That's all they want. That's one story that can be created. Another story that can be created is, I'm just so insignificant and ugly, and that's why no girls want me, kind of thing. These are both very, very disempowering stories. And when you have that story playing over and over again, and you're not consciously aware, right? You identify with it. You identify with that story, and that story creates you, right? And this is who I am now, unconsciously. And you create the role. You assume the role of the victim, and the victim is somebody who always has things happen to them. Things happen to you, right? And it's always beyond your control to change it. And you assume that role. And the way you assume that role, the way you identify with that story is when you're, like I said, when you're not consciously aware, when you're not aware, you're not present, and when you're not observing your thoughts. And that's how it has control over you. The minute you start observing your thoughts and you start becoming aware of it, that story created no longer has power over you, and that identity no longer has power over you because you're consciously aware of it, right? So leading on, so now you've identified, I am a victim now, this is who I am, right? It affects and distorts reality for you, so you don't see things for the way things are. You see things through the eyes of the person you become, through the role that you are playing, which is the role of the victim. So like I said, none of us really see reality for what it is. We all see reality through our past. So you label things. So you say, this is good because I know it's good because last time when I experienced it in the past, it gave me great feelings, so I know it's good. This is bad, this is negative, this is positive, this is right, this is wrong, this is wrong. This is all references from your past. So you're not really seeing, you're not seeing reality. You're seeing reality through the eyes of your past, right? You're not seeing things for the way it is, right? So like I said, because you've assumed that role from your past experience, or now you're a victim. Every time you come across a challenge of some kind, or every time you're forced to overcome something, you choose not to. You find a way not to overcome it, or you find a way to create the circumstances where you can be a victim again, because that's what you've identified with. Because you're unaware, the ego likes to live through you. It wants to live through you, so it's gonna find ways to create it. So, for example, this is how it hinders people's lives. So, for example, let's say you're starting a business, and you're with your friend, and it's going really well, but then your laptop or your phone breaks and you're unable to contact clients to help you. Rather than finding a way to overcome this situation and finding alternative ways to contact the clients, you use that as an excuse to become a victim again. You be like, see, life isn't fair. You know, I can't believe this has happened to me, kind of thing. Oh, it's beyond my control. My laptop's broken, my phone's broken, so now I can't contact clients, and now I just can't be successful because this has happened to me, kind of thing, right? And and then once again, victim. Opportunity to be a victim, and it comes up in different ways for different people. So it can come across in complaining at work or whatever. So maybe at your workplace you'd be like, see, the managers don't care about us, they never treat us right or anything, it's just a terrible organization, things aren't right here. So you complain, but rather than doing something about it, rather than realizing that you have a choice, that you don't have to work there if you don't want to, you can find another job, or you can go address the issue with people who are higher at the top to try resolve the issue. You choose to stay and you complain quietly. You choose to remain a victim. You choose to live a life that is always happening to you, that things are always happening to you. It's never your fault. It's always something happening to you, kind of thing. And then once again, role of the victim. It comes across in many different ways. Like I said, many different ways for many different people. And you have to understand this. Consciously, when you nobody likes, you know, feeling that way. Nobody likes feeling like the victim. Consciously, nobody likes it. So you can ask somebody, like, do you enjoy having challenges in your life? Do you enjoy going through hard times? Logically, everyone's gonna say no, right? But deep down, subconsciously, people enjoy being the victim. They enjoy it, right? And they're not consciously aware of it, but deep down they do enjoy it. That's why they look for it subconsciously. And the reason they enjoy it is because they get something from it, and you get something from it. And trust me, I'm speaking from experience, because I was an A1 victim. So the reason that you enjoy being the victim is because it gives you something. So what does it give you, right? It gives you one of two things. It gives you the moral high ground, where you're like, you know, I am right and they are wrong. See, they're just immoral and they always do these things to me. It's just not fair, right? So it gives you that moral high ground. Or two, it stops you from having to take responsibility for your life. Right, so it's always somebody doing something to you. I am unhappy because they are doing this to me, right? Rather than taking responsibility. So it stops you from having to take responsibility. It takes away the burden of that. I should say burden of that, right? So you can always sit comfortably in the position that you're in, because it's always somebody else's fault, right? So you get those two things from it, right? But it disempowers you, right? Because you're still the victim, and then you continuously, when you're playing the role of the victim, you continuously feel these emotions on a regular basis. So you feel frustrated, you feel anger, you probably feel depressed at some points as well. All these different negative emotions, and you don't want to feel those things. Like, logically, you don't want to feel those things, but you recreate them because you get something from them. Like I said, and it's not nice. So this is what I invite you guys to do. So how do we disidentify from that story? How do we stop that program from running? Like I said before, we stop it from observing our thoughts and becoming aware of what's really going on, consciously aware of what's going on in the mind. So the next time you're feeling those negative emotions, or you're feeling that anger, frustration, depression, or whatever, learn to observe your thoughts. And one thing you realize is this: you know what our thoughts are these? They're just questions, answers, and statements. That's how the mind works. Just questions, answers, statements. That's all thought is. So when you're feeling negative, you realize that you have these type of questions or thoughts going on in your head. You have questions and statements, stuff like this, like, how can this happen to me? Why is this happening to me? Why am I so blah 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 blah? Why is my manager always like this? Why can't they be like this? Those type of questions are presumptive questions. So when I say presumptive questions, those questions all presume that things will never get better for you. All right, so I'm reading from my notes as well, so I don't miss anything out. But so how will I ever overcome this? Another question. Why can't, insert name here, do this and this and this? Presumptive questions that are very disempowering. And when you're asking those questions, right, your brain is like a computer, so it just answers them. It just answers the questions. That's all it does. So negative thoughts, negative questions provide negative answers. So you're gonna get an answer. And even though that answer isn't always true, you'll get an answer, and it's going to make you feel bad, and then you're going to ruminate on these things. So when that program's running, bam, 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 that emotion of negativity, depression, anger, frustration arises. So once you start observing your thoughts, right, you start seeing these patterns, and you realize that there's certain questions or certain thoughts that are always reoccurring over and over again. But when you're aware and you're observing those thoughts, and you see that pattern, you're now in a position where you can interrupt that pattern. So when you're so how do you interrupt the pattern? So you observe it, you see what's going on, and then you do something to distort that pattern. So you can do something. So maybe you can start doing something active, or just start doing star jumps. Do something random to distort it. It's kind of like when you're in a conversation with somebody and you're talking, and then somebody comes and interrupts, right? And then when that person leaves who's interrupted the conversation, you say, "Oh, where was I? I lost my train of thought." Right? That's a form of a pattern interrupt. So you can do random things. So you can yell, you can be like, "Oh, jelly," or you can do press ups or something. Find a way to interrupt that pattern. There are many different ways you can do that. I'll probably suggest different ways you can interrupt the pattern down below. And now that you've interrupted that pattern, you want to create a new pattern. And the new pattern that I'll suggest you guys create is one that's more positive. So I want to invite you guys to start writing or start creating a gratitude journal. So every day, or not every day, or consistently at least, write down the things that you're grateful for. Write down the things that you're happy occurred in your life today. Write down things that you can be thankful for. And when you do this on a consistent basis, right, what you're actually doing is you're training your brain. You're training your brain to look for the positives. You're training your brain to see the light, not the darkness, to see what's good, not what's bad. And that thought pattern will start running, because as you interrupt the old thought pattern, that it'll start to die, it'll start to weaken, and this new one that you're creating will take its place, and that'll be more empowering, and you feel better emotions. So when you come across challenges, you may go down a little bit, but it won't control you, right? Because you'll be able to find the light. You'll be able to be more positive when you come across challenging times. And that's one pattern I encourage you guys to start adopting. Really, a gratitude journal will change your life. And also, when you're observing that those negative thought patterns arising, try as well to take action as well in the direction of overcoming that thought pattern. So if you're like have an issue at work, like, oh, why are they always doing this, rather than complaining, why don't you go and try resolve the issue, or try address the issue? That will immediately get rid of, well, not immediately, over time, it'll get rid of the negative thought patterns, like I said. So I've said a lot, but hopefully this video has made sense. I'm really hoping this makes sense. But if you really apply this and you really start observing your thoughts and interrupting those thought patterns, different life. Different life altogether, different emotional state. You will no longer have to linger around those lower level emotions. So that's the video of the day, guys. Hopefully that's made sense. I am done. Goodbye. Have a good day. All right, peace.